Everybody loves dads, stories, and the Marine Corps. What could be better than Marine Corps dads who tell stories? Here's another story with veteran storyteller John Sugar Jr., a Marine Corps dad.
Tonight's story is the story of the frog that saved the pond.
What?
Once upon a time, there was a tiny tadpole, and the tiny tadpole's name was Jill.
Yeah.
Jill the tadpole. And she was swimming around in their pond, so happy. And she would sing to herself when she was under the water, and she thought she sounded great, but all it sounded like was because it sounded like it was underwater. You ever try to sing underwater? Sounds weird. And so she would be singing along, but her mommy always used to tell her, don't go above the water. If you go above the water, whoosh, a bird will eat you. And she could hear the birds in the trees. Tweet, tweet. She thought, they don't sound so bad. Maybe my mommy doesn't know what she's talking about, because those birds sound so nice. Tweet, tweet. And so Jill the tadpole began to swim to the surface of the pond. And she had a friend, Raquel, the tadpole. And Raquel, she said, Jill, wait for me. And Raquel liked to beat Jill at everything, so she swam faster than Jill and popped out of the water. Suddenly, tweet, ate Raquel. And Jill said, no. And underwater it sounded like... And Jill said, what are we going to do? We have angry tadpole-eating birds above the surface of the water. And her mom said, there is one who can save us. The frog who lives in the log. I don't know how her mom made her voice that deep, but it's for dramatic effect, you know? And so Jill the tadpole went to the frog that lived in the log. No one liked the frog that lived in the log. He smelled. He had bumps all over his skin. And he had a rumbly tummy. And Jill the tadpole got closer and she could hear it. Ribbit. Ribbit. She's like, this is really gross. And she said, frog of the log, please help us. And the frog of the log said, ribbit. And the frog of the log stepped out of the log. And the birds were already coming for Jill. Tweet, 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 tweet. And they were coming. And the frog stepped out of the log. And he said, and he threw up on a bird. Tweet! And the other birds went, tweet, tweet. And the frog went, threw up on that bird. Tweet! And that bird fell in the water. Ah! Tweet, 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 tweet. And then all the other birds started coming in. Tweet! And the frog said, threw up on that bird. And threw up on that bird. Tweet! Tweet! No, that bird blew up. And so this frog was like, everywhere. Birds falling into the pond. Tweet! One bird fell into the pond and the tadpoles grabbed baseball bats and they all went... started beating up the bird out of the water. And the bird was trying to say tweet, but he was underwater. It was like... And so the frog kept fighting. Tweet. Until all the birds were defeated, and they began to fly away. Those of them that lived, with their wings covered in the frog's puke. And Jill said, "Thank you, frog of the log." You know what the frog said? Ribbit. And he turned and went back into his log, waiting for the day his people would need him again. The end.
That was another story with John Sugar Jr., a Marine Corps dad. Check the show notes for links to his Patreon and website at creativegrumbles.com.